On July 22nd, 2008, the WWE made a move that would change their company forever. They went to PG. For a lot of fans, they hated it and many people stopped watching, from live sex scenes and beer trucks to Little Jimmys and tea parties. On the flip side though, they appealed to a larger demographic and they needed to make the change. And before you start karate kicking coleslaw, just hear me out and listen till the end. I might change your mind. Let's get it. But back in the Attitude Era in the late 90s, wrestling business witnessed a boom period and they ran with it as far as they could, and we saw some of the most barbaric moments as a result. Characters like Val Venus, the GOAT Sexual Chocolate, DX, The Godfather, and way more were just a testament to how far the company was willing to go. The foulest language and segments were used every week. WCW were taking the WWF out back and they were giving them the business. So they needed to do something and they went on the run of a lifetime. From 1997 to 2001, the WWF week to week put on captivating TV and they were a part of pop culture as any other company back in the day. To simply put it, they were hella mainstream. They conquered all their competition, but after WCW went out, they had no reason to ball out like before when their back was against the wall. They took their foot off the pedal. The WWF in 2001 would host their yearly Wrestlemania, and this Wrestlemania was arguably the best Wrestlemania ever. But the problem was, it capped off the beloved Attitude Era. The biggest star in WWF turned heel, and it just didn't feel right. Austin turned heel, but the fans still loved him to death, and The Rock went AFK for a while. So now, they had no competition, their biggest face was now a villain, and the second biggest guy in the company wanted to get that Hollywood check and make movies. They were put in a horrible situation, but they had to put some plays into motion. In 2002, WWE hit the red button. They brought in the NWO, they brought back Shawn Michaels, and they would bring in a brand split. Raw and SmackDown's rosters were separated and wrestlers were exclusive to their brand. During this time, we were also introduced to the most iconic WWE call-ups ever, the OVW 2002 class. Brock Lesnar, Batista, Randy Orton, and John Cena. These guys would shake up the landscape of WWE for years to come. But right now, they are rookies. We'll get back to them. But how did I forget? WWE's best pickup in 2002, the one that stood the test of time and was head and shoulders above the rest. The big bad booty daddy, Scott Steiner. My hero. But yeah, after this, WWE would pick back up. Older people will tell you that this era was ass, but they'll also tell you that Ozzy Osbourne was an icon, so there's that. But at SummerSlam 2002, the WWE put on a spectacle, and in the main event, a new king would be crowned. Brock Lesnar beat The Rock, and WWE crowned their next face of the company, the next big thing. The WWE needed this because going into 2003 and 2004, the GOATs would end up leaving, even Lesnar himself. You see, the guy that was supposed to be the new face got burnt out and quit. So now Lesnar left, The Rock left, Stone Cold left, Goldberg left, and even the NWO all left. Ratings were just falling as well. It was a mess. But there was still incredible stories and matches going on. You had Evolution going crazy, and eventually Randy getting turned on and becoming the Legend Killer. You had The Undertaker going back to the dead man. Also, who could forget Eddie Guerrero's legendary road to finally winning the big one. Also, JBL for some reason have a career renaissance and having a great title run. I heard he doesn't like Mexicans, I don't know. Let's look at 2005 for a moment. This year was the turning point for the big three at the time. John Cena, Batista, and Randy Orton. See, going into 2005, these three were about to ascend to the top, and they were as good as a replacement as you could have asked for, to be honest. These guys had three separate feuds that led to WrestleMania 21. Let's start with Randy Orton. Randy would find himself in a feud with The Undertaker. That boy was cooked. But see, at this time, Randy was the first of the three to win a world championship, but despite this, he still had to prove himself. At WrestleMania 21, he solidified himself as a top star, and the match easily, and Ann says easily, the greatest streak match up until that point. Randy Orton was here to stay, and he had a great showing. But next up, John Cena. I could talk about Cena for hours, no bullshit. No me, Rod. The guy who rap battled Jay-Z and Fabulous at WrestleMania, the guy who pimped out Stephanie McMahon on live TV, the guy who pissed on The Undertaker's grave was now on pace to become the face of the company, and he was against the border monitor, JBL. This match, in all honesty, was super average, but the message was loud and clear. WWE had a new star. But last but not least, Batista. People forget how big Batista was during this time. He was just as big as Cena, and I gotta say it, He's one of the most underrated wrestlers ever. He never gets his due. Triple H and Batista had a damn near perfectly built year-long storyline, and it all capped off here. What a way to build a new star, and this match was great and another star was born. Cena was the WWE champion, Batista was the World Heavyweight champion, and Randy was taking down the greatest names in the industry. The big three was here. Out with the old and in with the new. Regardless of what the older people say, this era was special. Not everything was all sunshine and rainbows though, because this year, we lost a legend, Eddie Guerrero. Easily one of the most entertaining wrestlers ever. He made WWE's shitty DQ booking entertaining. That takes immense skill. But this death affected a lot of people, but it really affected one person in particular we'll get to in a little bit. In 2006, WWE was picking up their motion, and it was a lot of fun. Edge and Cena were having an all-timer feud. ECW came back again for another year and dropped an amazing pay-per-view and one-night stand. Eugene was as sped as ever, and DX came back. I will sprinkle in a little fun fact here. John Cena and The Undertaker would have a 1v1 match on Raw during both of their primes for the first time, and honestly, I think it's the only time they had a 1v1 in their primes. It's such a shame that they didn't have a Mania match in this era. There was a lot of good stuff going on here. Even Rated RKO got formed in 2006, which, by the way, this year had one of the funniest segments I've ever seen in it. So it was about Survivor Series time, so people were ganging and banging. But this year, it was a little different. So in the ring, to start, we had John Cena, Sabu, Kane, Bobby Lashley, and RVD. You know, this team was very interesting, but I'm like, alright, it happens. But Cena would get interrupted, and in the crowd, out comes Edge, Randy Orton, Johnny Nitro, Mike Knox, and Gregory Helms. This team is the most bombastic, spastic, arrogant squad I've ever seen. The fans were booing, and Randy just started crashing out. We weren't done though. Ric Flair's music hit, and the cameraman was lost. They were panning it all over the place, and from a different section of the arena, out comes Ric Flair, Arn Wet the Block Up Anderson, Sergeant Slaughter, and Dusty Rhodes. I officially lost it. But within 30 seconds of Ric Flair's rant, I hear this zesty-ass Barney-like song hit, and out comes the Spirit Squad from a different section of the crowd. Oh my god. Kenny starts throwing a tantrum, and out comes DX, CM Punk, and the Hardy Boys. I can't lie, this team is tough. All of the teams started bickering, and somehow it got even worse. The Big Show's music hit. From the actual stage this time, out comes Big Show, Umaga, Test, MVP, and Finley. I'm not gonna lie, this is the most sorry, buster-ass group I've ever seen in my life. At this point, I was crying laughing. I didn't think it could get any better though, but somehow it did. Vince McMahon comes out and starts putting every team in check, and he announces a tag match. It's gonna be John Cena, Ric Flair, and D-Generation X versus Edge and Orton, The Big Show, and they're teaming up with Kenny. Bro, this segment was hilarious. In all honesty though, the star power in this segment was insane. The roster was unreal. The WWE was just on a great wave of momentum. However though, in 2007, everything changed. On June 24th, 2007, the Chris Benoit tragedy happened, and it casted a very dark light on the WWE. Chris Benoit murdered his wife and his son, and I don't care what type of CTE he had, I don't care what he did in his career, this guy is a sicko. I don't think people think how sick it is to murder a family member, let alone two. But first things first, rest in peace Nancy and Daniel, and prayers up to their family. I really don't want to fully go into that situation because it's very eerie and weird, but if you're around during that time, you know the impact this had. You know cancel culture is crazy nowadays, so this was definitely a big hit even back then. I feel like there's a lot of reasons WWE went PG, but I feel like this was the final straw that really made them get their act together. And honestly, this was the best thing for the wrestlers. There was so many wrestlers that died early, it was sickening. No more chair shots to the head, more strict rules, etc. I think it appealed a lot to the wrestlers. No more super offensive stories or anything like that. And another reason WWE went PG is to appeal to their sponsors. WWE loves their sponsors. A lot of companies will not sponsor non-family friendly products, so Birds of Production, good luck with that Raid Shadow Legends sponsor. We're cooked. But yeah, another reason why they went PG was obviously to appeal to a way bigger demographic. People do not give enough credit to WWE for their diversity and their way to switch on a dime when needed. Cause you gotta think, the WWE is mad global. They had a way bigger bag opportunity to go PG, and it worked. They have been making record profits ever since. The WWE also has 100+ million subs on YouTube, which is insane. It's one of the biggest channels in the world. They upload like 300 videos a day, and they all get views. Another reason a lot of people talk about is Linda McMahon's politician run. That broad ruined everything. I'm kidding. But imagine getting into politics and your enemy plays this against you.
Mr. McMahon is groping. I can't.
How the hell do you respond to that? But yeah, a lot of people thought and still think it was because of John Cena, and that couldn't be any further from the truth. John Cena was the one that picked up the fumble and ran 99 yards with that thing. Cena was the one that stepped up to the plate when WWE needed him the most. Cena had to go through so much hate and bullshit, it's actually insane. All his different designs and his good deeds and chemistry is what built the WWE back up and repaired their image. John Cena holds the record for most Make-A-Wishes at 650. Insane. Cena gave everything to the company, and there is no way WWE has this good of an image without him. Earlier, I mentioned WWE's YouTube channel. Out of their top 10 most popular videos ever, John Cena is in 6 of them. I don't think you heard me, let me say it again. Out of WWE's top 10 most popular videos ever, John Cena is in 6 of them. That is incredible. The move was really for the money and the image, and the creative took a back seat. But in my opinion, I don't think it happens without the Benoit tragedy. That really changed everything. You know what they say though? More money, more problems. A lot of people rejected the PG era. It's kind of crazy they stuck to their change because a lot of OG fans left because people hate change. But let's see how the product changed after it went PG. So in 2008, WWE also went HD, so the production went dummy. New stages, new lights, the whole shebang. You probably couldn't tell immediately, but the PG rating would definitely show over time. In 2008, there was a lot of great stuff to love about the product. You had Shawn vs. Ric Flair, Shawn vs. Jericho, Cena vs. Batista. You had Taker vs. Edge, Triple H and Shawn still repping DX. But more importantly, one man really stood out in 2008. We just recently made a video about him, and that man is Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy went absolutely ballistic this year. His title chase and the spots he pulled off are genuinely insane, so he really carried this year for me. So 2009 is the first full year for PG, and you can start to notice it way more. Let's start with WrestleMania 25, the first Mania of the PG era. A very good WrestleMania, and what a first era Mania by having one of the greatest matches ever. Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. This whole feud was beautiful. Dark versus light. Who would have thought that Shawn would come out of retirement and have arguably his best match ever? Jeff faced his brother Matt in a very personal match, and it was pretty good. John Cena would have one of his best entrances ever, and he had the whole weight of the world on his shoulders. Edge and Big Show, 30 Twinkies in, would get lifted at the same time, and it was insane. And you already know, the ladder matches are always fire too. They had another banger. But you had a lot of crazy stuff going on this year. You had the Little People's Court, the Punk versus Hardy feud having everybody crying, Cena and Randy having hour-long battles, Big Show throwing Cena through the light beam, and so much more. But let's look at 2010. This year was rough, and a lot of people were gone by 2010. Batista left, Shawn retired, Edge's last full year, and Jericho was on and off, Cena was in his worst phase, Matt and Jeff were gone, the Raw GM was going on. It was just very weird. This for me is the year of the Nexus. The Nexus came in with a bang we haven't seen since DDP, bars, and it was gas. Their swag was top tier, they were all unique, and WWE needed this. The problem was though, their momentum was gone as soon as it started. Cena and a bunch of gurus beat Nexus, and it was a bad time. Taker and Shawn had another classic, and Shawn Michaels retired. This year started the downfall in my opinion. But 2011 was so bad, in fact, that Lord Tensai was a main eventer. Sin Cara was a straight bust. There was no way he was good in gym class. Santino was having tea parties. Raw was going on strike. Del Rio and Miz were getting main event pushes. Does this sound good to you? But hold on, just wait, I got some more. Christian had a resurgence. Kevin Nash came back for some reason. David Otunga had the streets on lock with his theme song. And Evan Bourne was going dummy. Zack Ryder was in there too. And also, the Hall of Pain was fire. But there's 3 things I think of when I think about 2011. First, SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 is one of the greatest games of all time. But yeah, that, and the next thing that happened is John Cena and The Rock would start their legendary feud for the ages. But, if we're being honest, there's one wrestler that really carried this entire year and held the WWE down. Goldust. Nah, I'm just tooting the Putin. It's Punk. CM Punk did about everything you could do in a year and this year. CM Punk made Vince McMahon apologize. That deserves an award in itself. I don't think that has ever happened in the history of ever. But CM Punk sat on the stage with a Stone Cold shirt and cut a better promo than any Stone Cold promo ever. Simply iconic. CM Punk won the WWE Championship, kissed Vince goodbye, and left in his hometown. 2011 Punk was nothing to play with, sprained ankle type shit. But yeah, other than this, honestly, 2011 was a big miss in my opinion. Yes, the PG era was needed, but there were some missteps along the way. 2012 was the start of year where everything was getting put into motion. People came back, and people got introduced. Wrestlemania 28 was iconic. I don't care about anything else on the show except for 2 matches. Well, and people aren't gonna like that. I don't give a damn what you people like. My bad, that was Heel Hands talking. But yeah, this show had 2 insane matches. The end of an era. This is my all-time favorite match. It's a masterpiece in every way. 10 out of 10 if you've never seen it. 1, you tripping. 2, I don't care. Cancel all your plans and watch that joint. After this video, of course. But the main event of Mania 28, the hypest match in wrestling history, John Cena versus The Rock. It delivered. This felt like gang warfare. You were either Team Bring It, whack, or you were Team Cena. No in between. But for one last time, there was a team. For all the OG Attitude Era fans to go to, and a team for the kids to go to. This match was incredible, and The Rock would break every little kid's heart, tear apart the C Nation, and win the match. This was devastating. But let's switch it up a little bit. Let's talk about NXT. NXT started changing this year and went from a game show to a serious wrestling training ground. Seth, Roman, Dean, Bray, Pace, Cesaro, Big E, and many, many more came from this rebrand. If you think about it, NXT really changed the landscape of the WWE in the 2010s. Without NXT, I feel like a lot of people we see today wouldn't be in their spot without NXT. NXT gave these wrestlers time to adapt to the WWE style and find new gimmicks. So NXT gave us damn near every star on the roster today, so thank you NXT. But speaking of NXT, some of their finest prospects got called up to the main roster in 2012. The Shield. What do I even say about the Shield? They really are like the exact same as J. Cole, Drake, and Kendrick. They all got the same like career aspects. But this is one of the most badass groups ever, and they accomplished more than damn near any other group. And in 2012, they were making their way up the ranking. But trust me, we'll get back to them. But Chris Jericho made his return this year, kind of. He would come out, smile at the camera way too much, did some groovy Ace Ventura dance animations, and then left and acted like it never happened. I can't even lie, his light up jacket was a hoot. I wanted it so badly as a kid. But in 2012, something else crazy happened. 3MB was going crazy. But nah, for real though, the Beast came back. He was now the big thing. He came back, attacked Cena, and the rest was history. John Laurinaitis was still running Raw, and People Power was very inspirational to say the least. Raw 1000 happened, and that actually was a beautiful tribute. But yeah, this was the start of the change. But let's go to 2013. I remember 2013 being horrible, but I might be bugging, so let's see. The top acts during this time were Brock, Punk, Cena, Shield, Wyatt Family, Ryback, Randy, and Daniel Bryan. But there's someone that really changed the game in 2013. Fandango. Come on, y'all. Come on, bro. Don't lie to me. Y'all were Fandango fans. I know I wasn't the only one. But this guy was tough. He had everybody dancing and singing his theme song. He was him. But yeah, this year was crucial to the Shield and the Wyatts. They were going crazy, and they were getting holy shit chants damn near every week, even on shitty shows like Main Event. It was insane. But in late 2013, Raw had one of the best endings of all time. The title ascension ceremony with The Authority, Cena, Randy, and a bunch of former world champions. Nobody talks about it, but in my opinion, this is legendary. I remember watching it all as a kid, and to this day, it's one of the best segments I've ever seen. Daniel was getting all the attention, Punk was going through it, then all hell broke loose. Randy and Cena start brawling, Punk clocks Triple H, Shawn Sweet Chin Music's Punk, then Bryan comes in and hits the running knee on Shawn, and then Daniel pushes Randy into Steph. And Triple H was pissed. He got up and he pedigreed Randy Orton, and a few seconds later, the camera would pan up and it showed Kane, Triple H, Stephanie, and John Cena side by side with Randy looking up. Legendary. I thought we lost Cena to the dark side, boys, I'm not gonna lie. But this was brilliant. What a way to hype up a match, and what a way to end a show. This was incredible. But there's one more thing I gotta mention this year. This was the start of Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was slowly taking over WWE. At SummerSlam 2013, well, first, Brock and Punk had an absolute clapper. But in the main event, Daniel beat Cena with his ball bow and won the WWE Championship. And then lost it to Randy Orton minutes later. This was heartbreaking, but it started his incredible title chase. But honestly, this was the last year of the PG era for real. Like 2014 to 2016 is a completely different product from this era, in my opinion. This is called the reality era, I think. Some people still think we're in the PG era, which I don't blame them, but it changed a lot regardless of the rating. In 2014, it was basically everything 2013 was doing, just amplified by 10 times. See, 2014 through 2016 is probably my favorite era in WWE history. I was watching every week and having a blast. I know it's gonna piss a lot of people off. Oh, it's not the Attitude Era, it's not the Ruthless Aggression. But I don't care. This was probably my favorite era ever, bro. There's just something special about this time that I can't really put into words. It's probably just nostalgia and all that jazz, but like, I don't know. I feel like it was good. They had a great Mania run. They had a great pay-per-view run, great show run. I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. This is the year that Cena dropped from the main event scene. You see, Brock pressed a bunch of bingo merchant unks and then went on to kill Cena at SummerSlam. This was also the year of the Authority. At WrestleMania 30, we saw the rise of Daniel Bryan play out. Mania 30 started with 3 GOATs in the ring just having an absolute hoot. See, Triple H, a great segment at WrestleMania, not just wrestling. But Daniel will face Triple H in a 1v1 for a chance to be in the main event. And not gonna lie, this was a win-win. An Evolution triple threat in the main event of WrestleMania would have been tough. But Daniel Bryan won, and he was locked in for the main event. The streak, man. The streak. The streak. Brock Lesnar defeated The Undertaker at WrestleMania, and now he was 21-1. This haunted everybody, and I guarantee a lot of people stopped watching after this. But yeah, next up, John Cena would face Bray Wyatt, and for some reason, it was a pretty good match, from what I remember at least. And now, the main event. The main event is one of the best feel-good moments you'll probably ever watch. Daniel finally climbed the WWE mountain, and he won the WWE Championship. This one hit. Who would have thought that Daniel Bryan would have been the biggest star in WWE at one point? And honestly, he really was. This was incredible. But after this, John Cena won the Unified World titles, and his aura was through the roof. This is probably a bad take to a lot of people, but low-key, Cena from 2014 to 2016 might be my favorite version ever. When we talk about 2014, we gotta talk about the Shield. The Shield turned face for the first time, and they were stomping out everybody. Evolution came back together again, and my God, was it tough. When I was legit, I used to bump the Evolution theme song on my blue MP3 player. Good times, man. Good times. But they would just have banger matches and segments, and in Raw after WrestleMania, they had one of my favorite segments ever. I probably said it a lot, but trust me, this one is a little different. Roman speared Triple H, and everybody just started going to war. This was great. But after all that momentum, all the highs, they were on top of the world together. Seth ruined it all. He stabbed his brothers in the back for a bag. It was for the best though, because they all got main event pushes. Seth's breakout, winning Money in the Bank, buying in, and man, what a great run. His best run ever in my opinion. But Dean went on to be a lunatic, and we all loved it. Roman was so fire, and he had a perfect powerhouse role. Gee, I hope he keeps up the badass momentum and doesn't become a blue-eyed cringe bag. But the last thing I want to talk about in 2014 was the Authority versus Team Cena. What a rush. This match had all the twists and turns you could ever want in a match. And Dolph Ziggler, bro, I always hated you. But after this night, you were always good in my book. But Cena got eliminated earlier than everybody expected, and we thought we were doomed. But Dolph Ziggler out of nowhere pulls out that Cleveland clutchness, and he went dummy. 1v3, Dolph packs up Kane. Now it's 2v1, Dolph rolls up Luke Harper, and now we are in a 1v1. Dolph versus Seth, the company boy versus the underrated superstar. Dolph hits a zigzag on Seth. 1, 2, no, Triple H pulls out the ref. And yo, Triple H started giving these refs the business, bro. Cole was pissed, and JBL was me riding hard. But JBL was a great commentator though, for real. But Dolph hits another zigzag. New referee comes down. 1, 2. Triple H with a busted ass elbow drop takes out the ref. So Triple H was running up his blood pressure for this, and he hit Dolph with a pedigree and pulls Seth over. And the same hokey ass ref that hoed Daniel Bryan a year earlier, the ref that was on Triple H's payroll, comes out, Scott Armstrong. He looks too much like Hardcore Holly. I didn't like him off rip, but he counts 1, 2. For the first time ever, Sting came to WWE. Sting was WCW's most loyal soldier, and he came back to fight the authorities' corruption. Vince's drugs definitely hit the jackpot this time. This was beautiful. But Sting knocks out that busted-ass ref who was on Triple H's payroll. He takes out Triple H and pulls Dolph over. 1, 2, 3. Team Dolph won. This is one of the coldest moments in wrestling history. The clutch, the comeback, the debut, everything was perfect. There's 3 tiers to Cleveland clutchness. Dolph and Team Cena, the Cavs in the 2016 finals, and me in 2018 Fortnite. Trust me, when my teammates died, I always clutched the game. Ask about me, for real. Nah, for real though, this was kind of brilliant. Really quick though, there's actually one more thing I want to talk about in 2014. My boy, Adam Rose. Like, you know, there's those wrestlers that, like, all right, they're bigger than life, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got the Cenas, the Stone Colds, just people like that. But the WWE wouldn't be the same without those mid-carders that you absolutely love. And this guy was hit, bro. He was the life of the party. Imagine going to an Adam Rose party. Actually, that would be kind of crazy. But your favorite wrestler was probably a Rosebud, let's be honest. He had one of the craziest rosters ever. But all right, let's go to 2015. The year Roman got turned on very hard. And also, by the way, the curb stomp is one of the hardest finishers ever. I love it. I can't get enough. The Royal Rumble 2015 was horrible, but there was a glaring light in a dark alley of doom. Seth versus Cena versus Lesnar. My second favorite match of all time. Pause. But me and my boys used to reenact this match, and it was just so good. Like, no homo. But in 2015, I watched my first episode of NXT. The low-key, grungy wrestling gem hidden on the WWE network. I went on to Kickback and watched Camp WWE, and I ended up clicking on NXT. One of my Xbox friends always hyped it up, so I finally gave in. Shout out Joker Boy Thug on Xbox. I remember you, gang. But there was 2 people I instantly loved. One was the boss, Sasha Banks. Her theme, her swag, her wrestling, everything was perfect. She stood out from Becky, Charlotte, and Bayley in my opinion. I desperately need to find this episode of NXT. Someone put me on, please. But to this day, Sasha is still my favorite women's wrestler ever, so thank you NXT. But the other person I made a connection with, someone you probably wouldn't expect, Enzo Amore. This guy had everything I love: swag, shoe game, amazing mic work, a great theme song, he had a great tag team partner, a bunch of catchphrases. I was hooked. NXT was the shit. He gets a lot of hate, but I don't really care. I'll always defend Enzo, man. He had the crowd in the palm of his hands every time he came out. And yeah, NXT during this time was just special. You'd see the most rare, non-WWE type of guys heading into NXT. For one, James Storm. James mother effing Storm was in NXT. You think I'm capping? Look it up, gang. But all the best OG TNA talent would end up making the jump soon. It was so calm. The NXT fans were dope too, because the venue was so small, but everybody was loud and hip to everybody. NXT takeovers. The greatest run of pay-per-views ever. It really started here in 2015. So Regal and Triple H were making plays, dog. Somehow, some way, they got Jushin Thunder Liger to wrestle in WWE. I don't know what type of anime cave they dragged him out of, but my god, what a bang. And Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens was insane. Finn was making waves. Sasha and Bayley put on the best women's match ever. And Samoa Joe, my dog, NXT picked up Samoa Joe. Hell yeah. Asuka will make her debut this year, and she was set to be a superstar. NXT even had Rhino and Alex Riley. But back to the main roster, because NXT was just too good. I could go for hours. John Cena's US Open Challenge. So Cena beat Rusev at WrestleMania, and this changed the entire division. He buried one guy to put on 30. W trade. But Cena versus Stardust, Cena versus Cesaro, Cena versus Dean, Cena versus Seth, Cena versus Bad News Barrett. Point is, it was fire. This was the era where Cena said F you to all the marks and just brought out all the DLC moves. What y'all know about the new moves pack? But electric chair face drops, half and half neck breakers, hurricane ranas, sunset flip power bombs, and springboard stunners, everything. He was having bangers with everybody. But his best feud was against Kevin Owens. May 18th, 2015, Cena would run the challenge, and Kevin Owens came out, he started talking trash, and he went unhinged and hit Cena with a pop-up powerbomb. He stepped on the US title and rose up the NXT title. What a statement. Owens would face off against Cena at Elimination Chamber, and after an amazing match, Owens actually beat Cena. I was pissed for months. But up until this point, if you said this was a top 5 Cena match ever, I wouldn't even feel the type of way, I'm gonna be honest. This was a perfect main roster call-up too. Cena and Owens ran it back at Money in the Bank, and they had another great match, and Cena picked up the win. But after the match, Owens hit Cena with an apron powerbomb and took him out. A couple weeks later, in Cleveland, MGK would perform a song on Raw, and afterwards, Owens would hit MGK with a powerbomb off of the stage. I can't even lie, this was hilarious. And also, MGK performed for Cena in 2012, so it was just a great touch. What a feud though. Cena had such a monster run, but he ended up losing to Alberto Del Rio, bro, after a weak-ass super kick. Like, with Zeb Coulter by his side, too. I guess Zeb Coulter turned a new leaf, man. Good for him. That is crazy. But Brock and Taker also feuded this year, and it was pretty badass. The Dudley Boys returned to Raw this year. The New Day were some of the most entertaining acts in a long-ass time. They were hella dope. I guess they hate country music, too, I don't know. But Roman would have one of his coldest moments ever when Roman attacked Triple H, spun the block, came back, and hit Triple H with a spear. But the main thing that happened in 2015 is WrestleMania 31. Back-to-back Killer Manias. My personal favorite WrestleMania ever. If there was ever a Mania I had to watch start to finish, I'm picking this one. But it started with an absolute banger ladder match where Daniel won the Intercontinental Championship. And the next match was Seth versus Randy. This match wasn't anything special, but Randy hit one of the toughest RKOs ever. It was beautiful. The next match was Sting versus Triple H. A lot of people didn't like this match, but I don't really care. This match was special. The entrances, the vibe, the interferences, the callbacks, everything was top tier except for the finish. This was Sting's match, man. It was a bad idea, but it was cool though. The next match was AJ Lee's last ever match, and it wasn't anything special, but to see her and Paige on the same team, like a year after Paige beat her on her debut, it was pretty cool. And against the Bella Twins, they were holding down the whole division. And this is like damn near a few months before the Women's Revolution actually started. So it's a pretty cool piece of history. But thank you, AJ. She's one of the best ever. The next match was Rusev versus Cena. Cena won, he debuted the Springboard Stunner and started the legendary US Open Challenge. But next was a segment with Triple H, Stephanie, The Rock, and Ronda Rousey. The star power was nuts. This was prime Ronda too, like she had mad sauce here. But next was Taker versus Bray, and the entrances were so fire, and this was his first appearance since Mania 30. This was nothing more than an Undertaker confidence booster, but I guess it worked. Now, the last match, Roman versus Brock. This match just felt special. Roman and Brock had their best ever match, and in the end, Seth cashed in, pinned Roman, and became the WWE Champion. What a way to cap off an amazing show and arguably one of the best Manias ever. But in my personal opinion, it's the best. The vibe of this show was just perfect, even the soundtrack. Rise and Money in the Power, which Money in the Power is still in my playlist to this day. The start, the finish, everything in between, for me, it's just the best Mania ever. But let's go to 2016. Finally, everybody's favorite year. 2016 gave us a lot of great matches and moments, but none were even close to this one. John Cena versus AJ Styles. The face of TNA versus the face of the WWE. This feud was special. Their first match was at Money in the Bank, and it was a great match and a great way to start a feud, but their next matches just kept getting better and better. Their next match would be at SummerSlam, and it was a banger. They were bringing out all the stops, dumping out their whole movesets, but at the end, AJ won clean. It was crazy. Their third match was in 2017. Do I care? No. I don't care. I'm bringing it up. But Royal Rumble 2017, Cena beat AJ for his 16th WWE Championship. Incredible, man. What a feud. But Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, man. Jericho was in the list era, and man, oh man, was it great. Kevin Owens won the Universal title this year and did a fantastic Fatal 4-Way on Raw with Big Cass, Seth, and Roman. Triple H turned on his former protege to help out his new guy, and it was just perfect. But speaking of cast, a new team got called up, Enzo and Cass. They debuted and instantly had the crowd hooked. That is unheard of. This tag team honestly is one of my favorite teams ever, and they were just here for like 2 years. Their energy was just perfect, and they lit the tag team scene on fire. They even got the John Cena co-sign, and Velveteen got it too. God damn it, Cena! But Shane O'Mac also returned this year, and honestly, he made WWE so much more fun to watch, man, I'm telling you. So in 2014 and 2015, they brought back a WCW legend back in Sting. And in 2016, they brought back another one, Goldberg. This was huge. Now it's been dragged to death, but back then, Goldberg had all the legendary presence. Goldberg would face Brock at Survivor Series, and he beat him in like a minute. I don't think anybody in the world predicted this. But let's talk about Seth versus Roman at Money in the Bank. So Seth beat Roman, and then Dean would come out and he cashed in on Seth. All 3 members of the Shield held the title on the same night, and this was the same night that the Cavs won the NBA Finals. It was just so iconic. It might be the best day ever. But Mania 32 was kind of mid, but it had its moments. Shane jumped off the cell, Sasha, Becky, and Charlotte went dummy. And to open the show, they had an amazing ladder match that I think Zack Ryder won. New Day came out of the Bootios, Shaq came out to Panda by Designer, and John Cena returned to help The Rock fend off the Wyatts. It was just a good time. But finally, we get to it. You can't bring up 2016 and not talk about the draft. 2016 was the year of SmackDown. Shane and Daniel created a land of opportunity with John Cena, Randy Orton, Alexa Bliss, Bray Wyatt, Dean, Becky, and AJ sitting at the top with a stacked tag division, a mid-card, and women's division. There was just so much going on at this time. There's no way this isn't a top-tier SmackDown era. Mauro Ranallo topped it off on commentary too. He was just amazing. But who could forget their biggest star, Heath Slater. Heath Slater got signed after Raw. He won the tag team titles, and the rest was history. At Survivor Series, they'd have Team Raw versus Team SmackDown in arguably the best Survivor Series match ever. Bray would get the win for SmackDown, and it was just beautiful. Now for 2017 through 2019, WWE was horrible, dog. You couldn't pay me to talk about these years. So if you're waiting on these years, I'm sorry. They were just bad. Like, I can't fake it, bro. I'm sorry. I just can't talk about it. I wasn't there for it. Can't speak on it. But I'll say for 2017, WrestleMania 33, just for some reason it felt special, and the Hardy Boys finally returned. For 2018, Roman had his leukemia announcement, and Dean turned on set the same night. In 2019, AEW came through with a huge bang, and WWE was just horrible, so AEW had the one-up. But Sasha came back with the blue hair, the girl of my dreams, and we got introduced to The Fiend. This character was so special with so many layers, it was fire. But yeah, that's all I can say for those years. I really didn't know like anything else, but it's all right. So for 2020, Roman Reigns came back, and it just felt right. This wasn't Big Dog Roman. This was Tribal Chief Roman. He was on another level. In 2021, SmackDown was incredible. It's up there with 2016 for sure. Edge, Seth, Bianca, Sasha, The Bloodline, Owens, Sammy, Big E, and Apollo Crews. And a lot of people don't remember this, but I think Apollo was supposed to be given like the Sami Zayn Bloodline spot. Because if you guys remember, Apollo went backstage into Roman's office in like 2021. It was like in April, March, somewhere around there. He went into his office and he asked for some advice. And after this, Apollo came out as Intercontinental Champion. So I guess he took advice of the GOAT, and I don't know, something happened. But a lot of people forget about this. Let me know what y'all think about it. But now, we get to 2022. This year changed everything. For the first time ever, Vince stepped down from WWE. This year playing out was crazy. Triple H took over this year, and he's done a great job. The guy who completely changed the landscape of the WWE, though, was Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes came back home at WrestleMania 38, and he was instantly a main eventer. If Cody never comes back, Roman is still world champion, and we were begging for a new challenger, and Roman had no type of feuds or competition. But Cody came in, gave us a breath of fresh air, and just be a believable babyface to take down Roman. The Bloodline was getting really stale, but they will make a last-minute, game-changing hillbilly addition. Sami Zayn. So many memorable segments and everybody breaking character. It was just a fun time. But now, let's go to 2023. So this year, I can't lie, I was in my personal era. I was going to a bunch of parties and just doing a lot of stuff IRL. I wasn't really worried about wrestling, but I definitely saw it from afar. And I will mention these people really showed out this year. First things first, rest in peace to Bray Wyatt. This was a horrible loss, and thank you, Bray. But nah, I have to apologize to Dom. This guy is an icon. I finally see the vision. I'll be the first one to say I was completely wrong about Dom firsthand. In my opinion, he is the real main draw of the Judgment Day. He gets the craziest reactions ever. Not only that, but he has 2 of the baddest girls on his wee-wee right now. And also this year, CM Punk finally returned back home. I called it in March of 2023. Everybody thought I was lying. I called it. CM Punk finally returned. And he has been showing out ever since. And now at WrestleMania 39, I really thought this was it. I was wrong again. I thought Cody had this one. And you can't say that this was needed, but still, I don't care. This ruined the night for me. It was kind of depressing. But in the summer, my boy Jay finally got something. If he wasn't going to beat Roman for the title, he needed to do something. Jay was as over as ever. And just like in 2013, Jay pinned Roman, and it was the first time Roman got pinned in 4 years. I'm glad he got this, though. He definitely deserved it. But in 2024, the WWE really picked up. One thing they need to do, though, is change the theme songs. I can't take anybody seriously. But for the road to WrestleMania, the WWE would make some crazy moves. The Bloodline was strong as ever, but they somehow got even stronger. The Rock would come back and everything turns up. At first, it was going to be Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania 40, but a certain blonde-haired, neck-tatted politician made his presence felt, and he changed the main event off of his star power. The Rock would eviscerate Cody and Mama Rhodes, which made Cody so much more likable. But Mania would hit, and it was an all-timer. The whole show was pretty great, and the only gripe I have is that there's no special segments. It's all just wrestling. But Cody finally finished the story, and it was so wholesome. But as of recording this, we're a week away from SummerSlam. I got my tickets. I need to see Roman and Cena pop out. But if Roman returns, we're going to be in for a treat, boys. And the WWE is going to be popping off once again. But I really just summarized all the years of the PG era and what happened. This took so long. All I ask is just drop a like and a sub, man. But yeah, I think the PG era was definitely needed. Did it overstay its welcome? Yes. But there's pros and cons. The cons are that a lot of Attitude Era fans left, and it wasn't considered cool, and there was just a lot more corny stuff. The pros are that they actually stayed afloat and came back and made way more bread. They are super global all over the world to this day. And last but not least, it creates a special bond for the kids. We all had the best times ever as a kid watching WWE, and that's really all what it's meant for. The youth, man. Product-wise, I say that I think Vince was just way too old to make shows for kids. It didn't clash. You look at Vince and think, man, he'd make a killer-ass kid show. It just didn't make sense. I will say, though, that the storylines were much better back then, but the in-ring wrestling is a million times better today. So yeah, man, that's my takes, but forget mine. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. And Brothers of Production, out, man. Peace.
Welcome to a new time. Welcome to a new era.